You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, a Wichita man dies in a wreck involving a semi and a MoDOT truck. We'll have the latest.
We've got to deal with the heat, and then we are going to put up with nighttime thunderstorm activity. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And 24 years of paintball battles come to a close in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Missouri Highway Patrol says a Wichita man died in a crash involving a semi and a MoDOT vehicle. It happened a little after 3 yesterday afternoon on Highway M, 10 miles north of Joplin. Police say 54-year-old Brian Crow's semi traveled off the right side of the road, overcorrected, then rolled over and struck a MoDOT vehicle driven by 52-year-old James Lawrence of Alba, Missouri. Crow was pronounced dead at the scene. Lawrence was uninjured. An accident in Salina, Kansas kills a Kansas Air National Guardsman and injures 2 others. Authorities say 30-year-old Staff Sergeant Wesley Cubey died Tuesday following a Humvee rollover accident at the Smoky Hill Air National Guard Range. The other 2 in the vehicle, 23-year-old Staff Sergeant Jaden Johnson and 28-year-old Staff Sergeant Cole Frederick, received treatment for their injuries at the hospital. The Kansas Air National Guard says the accident is still under investigation and the cause is still unknown. An Arkansas woman is suing an Arkansas State Police officer who she says negligently performed a pursuit intervention technique or a pit maneuver that caused her car to flip over on the highway at 60 miles an hour. Dashcam video shows the incident that happened last July. The officer says he was stopping a speeding driver who was not pulling over. The driver, who was pregnant at the time, says there was not a safe place to pull over, so she was waiting for the exit. The woman's baby is okay and is now 4 months old. Authorities arrest 2 suspects in a Berry County, Missouri murder. The suspects are Carlos Gutierrez and Jonathan Marquez. They're charged with second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and tampering with physical evidence in a felony prosecution in the death of Dalen Anderson. Anderson was found dead from a gunshot wound on May 28th. A 3rd suspect, Dylan Williams, is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. St. Louis police investigate the shooting of a teenager accused of trying to steal a restaurant's tip jar. According to investigators, it happened near the restaurant Utah Station yesterday afternoon. Police say the 17-year-old stole from the jar and then assaulted a customer who tried to stop him. At some point, another person shot the teen in the stomach. He was taken to the hospital. There's no word on his condition. Police arrested the shooter at the scene. A team of archaeologists at Tulsa's Oaklawn Cemetery says it found 1 more burial yesterday inside a mass grave there. That brings the total number of individuals found in the mass grave to 28. Right now, a forensic anthropologist is studying some of the remains to try and determine whether they are connected to the Tulsa Race Massacre. The team expects to take a total of 5 individuals out of the ground by the end of the day today. Missouri's 4th Congressional District Republican Representative Vicki Hartzler announces her bid for the United States Senate. Hartzler is running for the seat of current U.S. Senator Roy Blunt, who announced he will not run for re-election next year. In her announcement video, Hartzler said the U.S. is in a state of crisis and she's running in order to protect freedom.
I am running for the U.S. Senate in order to protect our freedoms and preserve America's greatness. I listen, I care, I act, and I have a track record of getting things done in Washington, and that's what we need right now.
Hartzler will seek the Republican nomination over a number of other big names in Missouri politics, including former Governor Eric Greitens, Attorney General Eric Schmidt, and Mark McCloskey. Quapaw Nation Business Committee votes unanimously to disqualify former Chairman John Berry as a candidate for Vice Chairman. Berry led the tribe for more than 20 years. He currently faces 11 criminal charges in Quapaw Nation Tribal Court, including embezzlement and conspiracy. Some kids in Sarcoxy, Missouri get a ride on a streetcar at the Webb City Farmers Market. The streetcar at King Jack Park had been sidelined due to the pandemic, but now it's back up and running, and today 2 busloads of children showed up for the fun trip.
I rode it one other time, and I think I might ride it again.
The kids were also treated to a free lunch and story time. Trust me when I say you have to be ready for any and everything when it comes to live TV. But as they say with theater, the show must go on. Check out this video from our affiliate in DC, WTTG's Evan Lambert was finishing up a live shot when the cicada flew right towards him. The insect nails him in the head. He does. What else? He continues his report without missing a beat. Even the cicada chose to stick it out, sitting on Evan's shoulder until the end of the shot. Are we going to watch it again here?
I feel his pain.
Oh.
I hate it when those things hit me in the head. And I'm like being facetious. Like I got a target on my back for those things.
He didn't even miss a beat. He just kept going.
That's why I keep the tennis racket outside with me. And we go toe to toe.
There you go.
Sorry, animal people, if that's like doesn't sound right, but they hate me.
7 in one blow, right?
They just pick on me, and they wait for me at the front door. That's the best part. They're like, "Oh, Michael's home. Sweet. Let's take him out." Live look over 7th and Rangeline. It's already a warm one in Joplin and really throughout the entire 4 states as we sit at 75 degrees, and we were at that temperature pre-sunrise even. And yep, it's already a little muggy out there. Humidity sitting at 94%. We're paying attention to what's up to the north right now as far as our Skywatch storm tracker clear as can be. That's not even really able to hit the ground. It's just because of that humidity. Radar picks it up a little bit. 72 in Miami, 76 in Chanute and Nevada, and 75 in Carthage. So very, very warm morning as the jet stream rides up right along this thunderstorm activity that stretches from Nebraska all the way past the Canadian border. And then just imagine it's going to follow these arrows down toward us. It's going to take a while to get here, though. It's not in any hurry. And so in the meantime, we press into the low 90s. If we get to 94 degrees, we will make it the hottest day of 2021. Yesterday, we got it all the way to 93 at Joplin Regional Airport. After sunset tonight, say around 8:30, that's when the rain begins to move in, carries us all the way into Saturday, and we will have bouts of heavy rain with that little thunder and lightning as well, and 35 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts. After the rain departs Saturday morning, we are right back into the 90s and carry that through the middle of next week. Tanya?
Well, up next, an update on local vaccination rates.
The director of the Crawford County Health Department says Crawford County is ahead of the state average when it comes to COVID-19 vaccinations, but there's still room for improvement. Details are coming up.
And why one man says a deadly shooting over grass clippings in St. Louis was self-defense. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Southeast Kansas County is reporting higher than average COVID-19 vaccination numbers. Unlike other parts of the 4-state area, Crawford County, Kansas also saw a spike in COVID-19 cases following Memorial Day. But the director of the Crawford County Health Department thinks that's more of a blip than a trend. She also says the county has a lot to be proud of when it comes to getting vaccinated against the coronavirus. KOAM's Mike Mahoney has details.
Joplin's Mercy and Freeman hospitals recently saw a spike in coronavirus cases following graduation and Memorial Day celebrations. But the Crawford County Health Department director says that phenomenon wasn't limited to Missouri.
So we did see a slight uptick this week. For the last 4 weeks, we had new cases were just in the single digits each week. And this week so far, we have had 20. New cases.
Multiple 4-state health department directors tell KOAM they'd like to see a lot more of their county's population vaccinated. And while Crawford County Health Department Director Teddy Van Kam believes there is still work to be done in her county, she's also very proud of its progress.
We do have 50% of our population is vaccinated, which is wonderful. This Kansas rate across the state is 43%. and we're right at 50. So, I think as a county, we're doing pretty well.
But that doesn't mean there's not room for improvement, especially with vaccination rates dropping across the 4-state area and across the country.
They're trickling in now, but most of the other counties are seeing the same thing, more of a trickle than in the heavy stream we had before.
The Crawford County Health Department director says she wants to see everyone who's eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine get one, but says the 18 through 35 age group is the one that needs the biggest push. And she's also got a message for anyone who's on the fence about getting the shot.
Do your research and look at it, but also consider that you don't want to expose maybe elderly grandparents, other loved ones that you spend time with, and also lost wages are hard to make up, lost school days are hard to make up. So do your research and get vaccinated.
In Crawford County, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you'd like to book an appointment to get vaccinated at the Crawford County Health Department, just click on the link in this story at KOAMnewsnow.com. U.S. regulators extend the expiration date on millions of Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccination doses by 6 weeks. Company says a review by the FDA showed that shots were still safe and effective for at least 4.5 months. The FDA originally authorized the vaccine for up to 3 months when properly stored back in February. Having an eye on your daily mega caffeine fix may be doing some ultimate damage to your eyes. Researchers at Mount Sinai's Hospital School of Medicine says for people with a family history of glaucoma, too much caffeine creates high risk for intraocular pressure. Check out a unique and inventive bubble barrier being used in an Amsterdam canal to block plastic waste before it gets to the sea. This barrier system is similar to a jacuzzi, churning water, creating bubbles, which diverts plastic refuse to a catchment system. Officials behind the bubble blockade system say it traps nearly 90% of plastic that would otherwise eventually flow out to the North Sea, and does so without disrupting aquatic life or interfering with shipping. Pretty cool. The idea is catching on, and more systems are already set to be installed in other countries. It's called bubble power, Michael.
Kudos to the person who came up with that great idea. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Right there. Huh.
Pretty neat. The power of air underwater.
Look at look at all that. That's amazing. Keeps it out of the ocean. Yep. Live look outside of Television City, where the sun now beating down. So let the warm up begin. 7th and Range line been very quiet. Not a whole lot of traffic out on this Friday. Skywatch Storm Tracker looking clear as can be, and with the ridge of the jet stream just not wanting to move from the upper plains right now. Still got that heat wave that lasts from Canada all the way down to the Gulf Coast. That's a system right there that we're going to keep our eyes on throughout the course of today. Hasn't had a lot of northerly movement, just barely making its way now through southern Nebraska. It does stretch pretty good geographically, north-south, all the way through the Dakotas and up to Canada. Now, as far as, we're not going to worry about the mowing forecast. Let's talk about the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Remember, that's just residual that's picked up there from the sweeping radar. That's not really going to pose any problems. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a whole lot of clouds in the sky. What we are going to keep track of is, number one, it possibly being the warmest day of 2021, because yesterday we got to 93 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport. So if we get to 94 today, not only the hottest day of the year, but also, too, it would be the hottest day since late September of last year. And we've got a heat advisory for our 3 counties in northeast Oklahoma that lasts until 8 o'clock tonight. As we get closer to 8 o'clock tonight, it'll be about half an hour before sunset, we'll have temperatures that will be in the 80s at the same point in time. It's the rain that's going to get us tonight. You know, usually when we get some thunderstorm activity too, we get to back off of our temperatures a little bit. Well, not with this one. It not only packs a punch as far as some heavy rain, thunder and lightning on the front side of it, but after it departs Saturday morning, right back into the 90s over the weekend and into the middle of next week. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
At DDS.
For the past 24 years, the D-Day Adventure Park in Wyandotte, Oklahoma has hosted the D-Day Battle, and this year is the last year. So we sent KOAM photojournalist Ty Parks to check out the final battle.
Also a event to recognize the World War II veterans. My grandfather was on Utah Beach during the Normandy invasions, and so that history has always been with me as a kid growing up. So that's what's inspired this. Once he passed, and I always wanted to do something for him.
Everybody doing good? Everybody got water? Everybody got paint? So this is year 16 for me. Actually, my kids got me into it back in 2005. You know, I had about 400 players up at the top, and the sounds of those markers opening up were, it just, I couldn't even see the beach or from where we were staging at. All I could hear was the sounds, and the smallest glimpse of what it might have sounded like during that time, you know, storming the beach, and, you know, it just, I fell in love with it.
When I was a kid, I loved playing paintball, and I would tell her stories when I was in the military, you know, about how we go out and play paintball and stuff like that, and she just said she wanted to play it, and she gets behind some cover, we sneak through some brush, she pops up 25 feet from somebody takes him out, and they're a 32-year-old man.
I'm in my late 50s now, and I'm thinking about maybe doing something different. So we're going to hang it up on a high note, and we're going to put this chapter behind us. It's time to do something else.
While the Adventure Park will no longer host D-Day, it isn't closing and will still play host to other paintball and airsoft events. Humboldt, Kansas is the place for a growing type of interactive activity. People can walk around and see different signs or pages of a book called How to Catch a Dinosaur. It's a fun children's book.
It makes it just worthwhile to see the faces of the kids out doing the story walk, and the grandparents get to enjoy it, and having the community support means everything. When you're a small library, you need that community support to help everything go the way it needs to go.
Well, if you're thinking of heading to Humboldt, the first page is in front of the city's library, and you can continue reading the pages west down Bridge Street. And the last page is at Humboldt City Hall. Perfect. We'll be right back. It's time to honor today's four-state hero. Homer Dobkins, who served in the United States Navy in 1962 and 1963. He was stationed in San Diego, California, his hometown, Columbus, Kansas. We are proud to salute Homer Dobkins, our four-state hero. Authorities say an argument over grass clippings ended with a deadly shooting. One of the men at the scene says it was self-defense, but the family of 29-year-old Missouri man killed wants answers. Ashley Lincoln reports.
I was so shocked I couldn't even move.
News 4 speaking exclusively to the man in black, seen in this video, coming to what would be a deadly meeting with Alan Waller.
I didn't know what to do.
4 shots to the chest.
Alan Waller's family contends he was shot in cold blood. But late Wednesday, St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Wesley Bell's office told News 4 the shooting was in self-defense.
Cutting grass is not worth anyone's life.
The landscaper came to Waller's home after he says Waller's neighbor, the woman in the video, said Waller had issue with grass blades blowing into his driveway.
Like, sir, I understand that it's grass in your property. Don't you think the wind could have blown this over?
The man says when Waller took them around the corner of the house out of sight of the surveillance camera, that's when things became intense.
He pulls out his gun from his waistband, cocks it, and starts waving it around at me and my brother and puts it to one of my brother's head.
The landscaper says he brought his 2 brothers with him, the man in the white shirt and the one later seen running with the gun after his client told him Waller had been spotted by neighbors brandishing his gun during arguments.
My oldest son saw this. He said, "Mama, I ran so fast. It's the fastest I ever ran in my life."
That's the mother of the 3 men.
I ain't raised my sons to take nobody's life. I've lost people to street violence. And I wouldn't wish this on nobody, and I didn't teach my sons to kill nobody.
Prosecutor Bell's office says the evidence shows the actions were, quote, indeed self-defense. Since learning this new information, News 4 has been trying to talk to Waller's immediate family, but no one responded. His sister, however, did express anger online.
He didn't mean no harm. He moved out the hood to be in a better place, and he still died in his driveway.
St. Louis County prosecuting attorney has not ruled out charges in the shooting. They say it depends on if they find additional evidence in the case. Now, according to the prosecutor, the matter is under advisement because of the element of self-defense. Well, another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, rising prices.
Cutting costs in the pandemic. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer, and I've got the details on how the food industry is dealing with inflation, massive demands, and a labor shortage coming up.
And we're hanging out with alpacas in Jay, Oklahoma for our next four-state staycation. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Missouri Highway Patrol says a Wichita man died in a crash involving a semi and a MoDOT vehicle. It happened a little after 3 yesterday afternoon on Highway M, 10 miles north of Joplin. Police say 54-year-old Brian Crow's semi traveled off the right side of the roadway, overcorrected and then rolled over and struck a MoDOT vehicle driven by 52-year-old James Lawrence of Alba, Missouri. Crow was pronounced dead at the scene. Lawrence was uninjured. An Arkansas woman is suing an Arkansas State police officer who she says negligently performed a pursuit intervention technique or a pit maneuver that caused her car to flip over on the highway at 60 miles an hour. Dashcam video shows the incident that happened last July. The officer says he was stopping a speeding driver who was not pulling over. The driver, who was pregnant at the time, says there was not a safe place to pull over, so she was waiting for the exit. The woman's baby is okay and is now 4 months old. Authorities arrest 2 suspects in a Berry County, Missouri murder. The suspects are Carlos Gutierrez and Jonathan Marquez. They're charged with second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and tampering with physical evidence in a felony prosecution in the death of Dalen Anderson. Anderson was found dead from a gunshot wound on May 28th. A third suspect, Dylan Williams, is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Quapaw Nation Business Committee voted unanimously to disqualify former chairman John Berry as a candidate for vice chairman. Berry led the tribe for more than 20 years. He currently faces 11 criminal charges in Quapaw Nation Tribal Court, including embezzlement and conspiracy. A team of archaeologists at Tulsa's Oaklawn Cemetery says it found one more burial yesterday inside a mass grave there. That brings the total number of individuals found in the mass grave to 28. Right now, a forensic anthropologist is studying some of the remains to try and determine whether they are connected to the Tulsa Race Massacre. The team expects to take a total of 5 individuals out of the ground by the end of the day today. You've been looking to buy some lightly used street signs? We have some good news. The city of Humboldt, Kansas recently changed all of its street signs, and now they're selling the old ones. The street signs are now blue and white. The old ones were white and black. The city is selling hundreds of the white and black ones for $10 a piece.
We did have a guy come through from California. He was from Humboldt originally. He went to school here, and he came in and bought a sign, and thought that was pretty cool. One of these is going back. He's a kind of a collector. He likes old signs, and he said, I got to have a sign from Humboldt. So.
More than 250 signs have been sold already. They're available at Humboldt City Hall. An Arkansas man appears to have saved his home from flooding by building a levee. James Hill lives more than an hour south of Little Rock in the community of Dumas. It's gotten 20 inches of rain in the past 5 days, with more to come. Hill says his house flooded in 2016, so when he saw the forecast, he and his sons got to work on the earthen barrier. They've been working on it since Tuesday morning. Though it saved his home, about 10,000 acres of his crops are flooded.
You know, soybeans can be tough. They could be under for a few days, and some of them make it, but, you know, different stages of plant dates that I don't know if, you know, the little ones are going to be the ones that make it or the big ones, but I'm assuming we've lost quite a bit of them already, and we're just praying that we cut our loss to a minimum and the water starts receding.
Governor Asa Hutchinson declared a state of emergency in Arkansas.
Yes, absolute mess down there, especially for the farmers. There's actually a piece of property, Tanya, in Crawford County, Kansas, where the gentleman built his own berm due to the flooding during the mid-90s. Kind of a unique way that he protects his property. We still do have flood warnings throughout Arkansas. They're not as widespread as what they were. If you go back to Monday and Tuesday, it was about 95% of the natural state that was in a flood warning or watch of some sort of type. We've got 3 of our counties in a heat advisory lasting until 8 o'clock. You can also tell portions of Nebraska in a heat advisory as well. And they actually are going to have some morning thunderstorm activity. We got nothing but beautiful blue skies and 75 degrees outside. 7th in Rangeline, 72 in Miami, 76 in Chanute, and let's go 76 in Lamar as well. Clean Skywatch Storm Tracker. This is what we were looking at right there in the Omaha area, where they not only have the heat advisory, but they're going to have that line of thunderstorm activity drop down on them from the Dakotas. And eventually, it's going to make its way south toward us. We'll be in the 90s, feel about like 102 this afternoon. And its future track is in motion after we get right past sunset right there. That's that band of thunderstorms. Heavy rain on the leading edge of it, a little lightning and thunder, and also 35 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts. And as this thing drops down, it'll take until Saturday morning until it's all said and done. It'd be nice if we had a little temperature reprieve on the backside of it. That will not be the case, as we will just jaunt back into the 90s for both Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, inmates at an Oklahoma prison began receiving special computer tablets this week. Part of a plan by the Department of Corrections to provide inmates at state prisons with free tablets. And it includes content as access to a law library, some podcasts, books, and educational materials. Tablets can also be used to communicate with their families. Our question to you is, should inmates have access to tablets right now? An overwhelming 85% of you saying no, they should not. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Tanya?
Well, normally if you want to see an alpaca in person, you would have to book a flight to South America, or at least find a nearby zoo. But what if I told you there was a farm here in the 4 states that not only lets you see the woolly animals, but pet them as well? For our next 4-state staycation, KOAM photojournalist Leah Mandelbaum takes us to Xena Surrey alpacas in Jay, Oklahoma.
We never visualized becoming a tourist center. We thought most of our time would be with the buying and selling of animals. And initially, we wondered, well, are people going to come here? Because this is not exactly Times Square. I mean, look out the windows, right? There's nobody here. But I've been amazed that we've kind of become a magnet here. We went to an alpaca show south of Salt Lake. This was around Memorial Day weekend, 2008. When you're talking about 09 or 010, we're in the shadow of a Great Recession. I'm actually terrified week after week because we're putting out a lot of money and we're building something here from scratch. We've got more help here these days, but usually I spent most of my time getting the barn cleaned. The earlier, the better.
Been here about a year. I start about 7:30. Every day is different being on the ranch. Most days though we like to get in and get the barn done. Barn takes a little over an hour to go in and get both sides clean, and then it takes about an hour to feed and change out all their waters.
And the first question is, are they going to spit on me? Do they attack?
They do have 3 different types of spit, but usually they're going to be spitting at each other and not necessarily at the person. Sometimes you are in the crossfire. The animals are just like people. They all have their own personality. Some of them are going to come right up to you and let you pet them, let them touch you. The others are going to walk up to you but keep their distance.
Llama. All right, and they also have a really friendly llama there on their alpaca farm. You have to check him out. Well, if you want to check out Xena Surrey alpacas for yourself, you'll have to set up a tour beforehand. We'll have that phone number on our morning show page. You can find that at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be right back. Sam's Club dips its toe into the home improvement market. The Walmart-owned chain announces plans to launch Sam's Club Home Install Experts, which will connect members with local home improvement contractors. Sam's Club is also offering discounts on everyday dealer pricing and financing options as well through service finance dealers. Experts say U.S. home improvement sales and services hit an estimated $767 billion throughout 2020. Well, Coke says this one's on us. If you chow down at a local restaurant, the Cola giant says it wants you back in your eateries again to help restaurants recover from tough coronavirus times. It's part of an incentive where Coke essentially pays you a free Coke's worth for dining. The free Cokes are actually a $2.50 MasterCard mobile wallet credit. You can use it at any restaurant that takes card payments. You can find out how to get your free Coke on Coca-Cola's website. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. It's time for What the Tech. Bitcoin clears a major hurdle. El Salvador is the first country to adopt the currency as a legal form of payment alongside the U.S. dollar. And now experts say the move there will create a ripple effect globally. Steve Nunez has more on the impact it may have on U.S. regulations and how you can avoid crypto scams.
Bitcoin making history. El Salvador is now the first country to adopt the digital currency as a legal form of payment.
It really changes the argument for Bitcoin. I think that right now investors are seeing this as the developing world is about to go crazy and embracing crypto.
Lawmakers approving the landmark proposal this week, with the president saying Bitcoin will promote innovation and economic development. Experts say the bold move will have a global impact that could speed up mass adoption of cryptocurrencies.
There is going to be a lot of incentive to make Bitcoin legal tender, as it's going to attract a tremendous amount of crypto entrepreneurs.
While Bitcoin fans are cheering the decision, some experts say it won't help stabilize prices. Bitcoin is notoriously volatile. In April, it reached almost $65,000 before crashing and is now trading around $35,000. Those wild swings are rattling investors and raising eyebrows on Capitol Hill, where U.S. lawmakers are eyeing bills aimed at keeping crypto investors safe.
There needs to be more regulation in place to protect the American consumer, and I think you're going to see that's how government's going to come cracking down on cryptos.
With interest rising, the FTC issuing a warning in April against crypto scams, saying avoid companies on social media or emails making big claims like guaranteeing you'll make a profit or promising big payouts.
You have to have extreme caution. I think that it's still a very volatile space.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Steve Nannis.
Flying over constant traffic jams to your next business meeting possibly moves one step closer with an attempt at a new urban air taxi service. Archer Aviation unveils its new urban electric air taxi named Maker in Hawthorne, California. The urban air taxi is trying to get a foothold in the developing zero-emission air taxi market. Maker can take off and land like a helicopter, but fly like a plane. Archer gave a simulation of a ride. Experts say the vertical takeoff and landing market will soon be worth billions. One of Archer's co-founders described its value in congested cities and its cost effectiveness for short-haul trips.
We have no fuel costs, we only have charging costs, and we believe this will be a really affordable transportation solution to the masses. So our entry-level price is between $3 to $4 per passenger mile. So we're looking at $50 to $70 trips, kind of in and around cities.
Archer Aviation is in the process of trying to certify piloted 4-passenger aircraft with the FAA and says it expects to go to market 2024 in Los Angeles and Miami.
Pretty cool looking.
Wouldn't you love to go to work in one of those every day? How about I get one and then I'll pick you up on my way to work every morning?
That wouldn't be bad. I don't know if the front yard's big enough to land in, but that could pose a problem.
I just park it in my backyard, I think, and I'd land there and I'd go straight up.
Drop me a ladder.
I'll have to pick you up in the street.
Drop
but
me a ladder.
We can do
that'll
it.
work. It looks like
Yeah.
something that the sheriff's
climb it.
secret police would use. For those of you that,
And there are 4 passengers, so we could pick you up too.
Yeah, we'll be there. Don't wait on us. Yeah, sheriff's secret police that would be flying around in that. It looks pretty cool. Tanya, if we can get up to 94 degrees today, we'll set a record for 2021. We actually, about that 3, 4 o'clock hour, got up to 93 at Joplin Regional Airport yesterday. It was the hottest day of the year. Goes back to late September 28th. Forgive me there, I was thinking if it was 26th or 28th. Got to go back to September of the 28th of 2020. Last time we had a day that got up to 93 degrees. So 94 will be the magic number today. Luckily, even though we're talking about the heat, we're not going to challenge that 1953 record of 103 degrees. Current conditions at 7th and Rangeline sit at 75 degrees. This was our pre-sunrise temp. We haven't had much movement, but we didn't even have any 60s early this morning. We're already seeing 76 in Neodesha and Independence, Carthage, and throw Lamar in there. It's 76 as well, and Fort Scott and Nevada now up to 77. And we've got to factor in the humidity. Like I've been saying, that's pretty normal for us. It's really out to the west and down to the south that have just been abnormally damp so early in the morning, and we're really not seeing it go down at all. So really today's going to be our worst day up here as far as the dew point goes, and factor in the humidity and whatnot. It's going to feel about like 102. You can tell, even though our temperatures are going to be in the 90s here over the weekend, we do get gradually better, especially our overnights right there. You can call it muggy if you want, but it's not going to be too bad. We do have a heat advisory for 3 counties in northeast Oklahoma that range until 8 o'clock tonight. That's what we're keeping our eyes on right there. The system coming out of the Dakotas through Nebraska right now. And as it drops down on us, we're going to have bouts of heavy rain. It'll be post-sunset. Here it comes through, a little thunder, lightning, and wind gusts of 35 to 40 miles per hour. As it ditches off to the south Saturday morning, we rebound right back into the 90s all the way into the middle of next week. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Getting a late.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Biden, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and the leaders of Canada, France, Italy, Germany, and Japan kick off their G7 summit today in the UK. President Biden has said he intends to strengthen alliances that were tested during President Trump's time in the White House. On his European trip, President Biden pledged the U.S. will donate 500 million Pfizer vaccine doses to more than 90 nations around the world. That comes as the FDA extended the expiration date for Johnson & Johnson's single-dose vaccines to 4.5 months, adding an additional 6 weeks to the original date. State officials had warned that millions of doses would expire by the end of this month. A gunman opened fire at a Publix supermarket in Florida, killing a woman and a child before turning the gun on himself. During the mayhem, dozens of people fled the Palm Beach County market in panic. Let's check in with Michael. Final look at your forecast.
Shaping up to possibly be the hottest day of the year, all the way up into the mid-90s and feeling about like 102. And then we sit back, wait for sunset and the thunderstorms to arrive from the north as they roll through. Going to get some heavy rain, a little thunder and lightning, get rid of it Saturday morning, and then bebop right back into the 90s to the middle of next week.
What's old is new again for a classic car owner in Maine who had mechanics turn his 50-year-old Volkswagen Beetle 100% electric. They said it was tricky, but mechanics custom fitted the 1971 Bug with 35 batteries, giving the car an 80-mile range and boosting its top speed by 40 miles per hour. With a breath of electric life, the owner says they've future-proofed his classic.
Batteries ain't cheap though, 35 of them?
I didn't see the video. Did they put the batteries in the trunk or did they put them in the engine compartment?
The boot.
Those cars are so fun.
All right, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We will be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.